if I really wanted to be married, I could. Like, let's be honest. If we lower our standards and kind of settle and just get married because we really want to and we want to have that experience, we could. We don't always know if the marriage would be great. It could be, it might not be. Hello, and welcome to the Authentic Wednesday podcast. Each week, my guest and I share our vulnerable behind-the-scenes stories of giving ourselves permission to take off our masks, let go of expectations, and embrace our own path of freedom and authentic connection. I am your host, Bianca Hughes, a lover of authenticity. Hello and welcome to the Authentic Wednesday podcast. It is your host, Bianca Hughes. Welcome back if you are a regular listener, and welcome if it is your first time. Always appreciate you listening and sharing the podcast and hearing any feedback that you may have. Actually, just to let you guys know, I have a new updated website for the podcast, which you can find in the show notes. And it actually has the ability for you guys to leave a voicemail if you want to share something about the show, or even just send a quick note. So just to make it nice and easy and simple for you, I will put that link in the show notes. This is episode, let's see. That means it's doing well if I can't even remember, but this is episode 71 of the podcast. And I wanted to share with you something that keeps coming up, but has been coming up a few times in therapy, in discussion with my therapist. And I was sharing it with a friend and they were like, oh my God, that sounds like such a good podcast episode. So here I am sharing it with you guys today. So maybe the past 2 or 3 months, or every once in a while this happens. If anyone knows, I'm single, don't have any kids, but do desire marriage and do desire to have children. And it hasn't happened yet. And that could be frustrating at times. There are times where I actually really appreciate being alone and appreciate being unmarried and all the things I'm able to do. And I have had a great life. But there are moments where I do feel sad or wondering when is it going to happen, and have those moments. And so, every once in a while, if that comes up, I'll talk it through with a friend or with my therapist and kind of work what I'm experiencing. And one of the things that my therapist has identified is what's called disenfranchised grief. And that is where things you thought would have happened by now may not have happened, or what you imagine you'd be doing or your life to be like has not happened. And just giving yourself the opportunity to really grieve that. Like, for example, I was saying when I went away recently, I was like, man, I went away and I've been on solo travels and I do have fun, but it was my birthday. And I was like, man, it would have been really good to have my husband here. And so, to be married and have that person to celebrate that with. And so in those moments, that's just an example of being able to grieve. That's an example, of disenfranchised grief. Or if I was saying to her, would have been good to imagine what it would have been like to have my husband to pick me up from the trip, even if he didn't come, that I went on a solo trip and he was there to pick me up, and grieving that factor. So that's disenfranchised grief. Now, for me, we always, anyone who is single may have experienced this, like, especially if you're a woman, it seems to happen more to women. But why are you not married yet? And asking all the questions. And when they ask you the questions, sometimes it can come off judgmental, or like you're doing something wrong, or even just you're so beautiful and you're just so amazing. Why are you not married yet? And honestly, I just wish people didn't ask that question, because I don't have an answer. It's not that I'm not available. It's not that I don't desire. My therapist said it's a divine reason, but it's not an answer people can answer easily all the time. Sometimes people are on a break and they can say, well, I'm on a break right now, but I'm not. So And that could be frustrating. And especially if it's around that time where I'm having the question and personally myself and experiencing some of that disenfranchised grief. But the truth of the matter is, as I discussed with the therapist, is that, if I really wanted to be married, I could. Like, let's be honest. If we lower our standards and kind of settle and just get married because we really want to and we want to have that experience, we could. We don't always know if the marriage would be great. It could be, it might not be. But have I encountered people that care for me and I think they're amazing and I care about them, but I know that perhaps our values aren't aligned, but they've wanted to marry me and I haven't? Yeah. But, I don't believe in being with someone just for the sake because someone wants to marry me. I feel that's definitely, it's about a partnership and being with someone. As my therapist would say, which I want to talk to you guys about, there's a difference between having a warm bed and a partner. I desire a partner. Like, I desire marriage, and marriage to me is a partnership. I don't just want someone to have someone. And so she often helps identify when people are trying to perhaps give me warm bed advice versus partnership advice, like what it means to, date because you want a warm bed, or be with someone because you want someone, to warm your bed, or you truly want a partner. So I'll give you an example. So when people say, you give an example, I've dated this person, and you say perhaps what you liked and what you didn't like, they'll be like, well, what's wrong with that? And kind of in a way dismissing the things that perhaps I don't like because it's not a big deal to them, or they might feel like I'm being picky. For example, attraction. I've had people say, well, you don't need to be attracted, that will grow. That doesn't work for me. Like, I've met amazing people and as friends, and attraction has not grown. It just hasn't for me. And that's important for me. That's my value, and that's what matters. And so also when you're, in a way, it's like your value is being dismissed, kind of like, well, that doesn't matter. Just try it out. Just see what happens. Just give it a chance, where in your gut that it's not going to work. That's more of that warm bed advice, where someone's like, partnership advice is more, or support is more of, well, okay, well, what are you looking for? What matters to you? When someone's saying, trust your gut, when you have conversations, right? Whether they're male or female, and you're just like learning about what's important. Or for example, I remember having this conversation and someone was like, does it matter if, what type of food the person eats? Like, does their diet matter to you? And at the end of it, I was like, well, no, they just have to, I was saying, well, no, they have to, at least care about what goes in their body. And then they were like, so it does matter. What someone eats does matter to you. What their diet is does matter. So are you a vegan? Are they vegan? Are they vegetarian? Do you eat meat? Like those kind of things. Like, I might not be necessarily picky about the type of food, like if you're vegetarian, vegan, but I am more particular about, are you concerned about and do you pay attention to what you put in your body? Do you go more on healthy, or are you eating a whole bunch of junk food and sugar? Like, those are the kind of things that, matter. But having that conversation helped me understand that. And those are the things that lead to partnership advice, partnership, because it's more about, are our values aligned versus I like you, we got some things in common. Things in common are great, but are those things your values? And when I say values, those are the things that are deep rooted, your belief system, how you live and how you operate. Are those aligned? And I've talked about values. I do have a podcast episode where I talked about values. So you guys can go back and listen a bit more in depth on that one. Partnership advice is when someone suggests, and I remember having a conversation, they were like, don't go out to dinner, go on a coffee date. When you go on a coffee date, that person, you're both more relaxed and you tend to kind of see a person more in their relaxed state versus when you go to dinner, they might be putting on. To me, that's about partnership advice, right? Discovering, exploring who people are when you're meeting them, when you're dating, and not just be like, okay, let's just get straight to the detail. Let's see who they are. Another one is trusting your gut. I think I mentioned that. And I don't want to say not giving people a chance, but what I want to say is believe who they are when they show you. Sometimes, especially as women, we want to give guys a chance. Oh, well, maybe, or if they could, but they are who they are. And I've said this before, like, guys will not give people a chance, women a chance, as much as women give men a chance. I have noticed that. One of my values, and I personally feel like, for partnership advice, is about getting to know their family and their friends early on, especially their friends. Who are they hanging around with? What are they listening to? Who do they connect with? Who is in their support system? Do they even have friends? Because sometimes, you know, like, I like the idea of group dating, because then you get to see them with a bunch of different people and not just with you, because that's what matters in a partnership, right? When you just dating and you're dating alone, it's just you and them. I love, never forget, someone said this, like, you have to pay attention to their patterns, not their potential. Their patterns show you who they are right now. Potential is for the future, but ideally you're going to be with them based on who they are now, not who you want them to be, not who you imagine them to be. When someone's saying, oh, well, he's got potential, that's warm bed advice. When someone says pay attention to their pattern, that's partnership advice. Another one is personally just like assessing what you bring to a relationship. That's about someone trying to get into a partnership, right? Versus I just want someone in my bed, but you're not really assessing who you are, what you like, what you don't like, and what you need in a relationship, and what you're bringing. You know, what did this person get when they're with you too? That's about partnership. That's not, you know, warm bed is like, okay, I like you, you like me. Let's get it on. So those are just some things I want you guys to kind of think about and take away. Please share this because it's hard. I know, me personally, being single personally, there's moments when it's hard, and then when people come and bombard you, there are times where it just you know, it's wore off my back, and there are other times it might stick and bother me, but I do remind myself, and I do have conversations and support from people who understand what it really means to desire and want a partner, versus people who just get a warm bed. Like, a couple of advice I can remember is like, it's better to be alone, not be alone, but be unmarried than be married to the wrong person. And another person who told me this, and it was actually a guy, like, he was like, he understood where I was and the challenges, as he knew other women in the same situation. Like, you do desire it, but you also just not gonna settle. And he said to me, you know, unfortunately, Bianca, not all cream rises to the top. And that's just to be remembered. It's not to judge, it's not to look down at everyone. Everyone is in their own stage and wants different things and looks at things differently. And I think that also has to be respected and understood. So yeah, that's the difference, yeah, between warm bed and partner. What do you want? Do you want a warm bed, someone to warm your bed, or do you want a partner? Do you want someone to do life with and support you? Like, or do you just want to be married? Like, and if you do, okay. But just know the difference and know what you want. And know when people are perhaps asking you questions or giving you advice based on, just get married, just have a warm bed. or no, you desire a lifelong partner. So I hope that really helps you. It helps me. Just constantly thinking about that, and my therapist reminded me of that. So please share the podcast. Remember to follow us, and thank you so much for listening. If you connected with what you just heard, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. You can stay connected by following the Instagram Bianca Keisha, spelled Keisha, Kesha, or visiting the website authenticwednesday.com. Remember, authenticity is a journey, not a destination.